Denny Hamlin didn't lose the championship, it was ripped out of his hands. After 20 years of chasing the one trophy that still haunts his dreams, this was supposed to be his year. The pole position? His. The most dominant car? Also his. The emotional backstory of racing for a terminally ill father who couldn't even be in the stands? That too. And then, overtime happened. Let me break it down. Hamlin led 208 laps of the Phoenix finale. That's not just domination. That's suffocation. He had the field in a stranglehold. His Toyota was on rails, his pit crew was sharp, and mentally, he was locked in. The perfect setup, until the perfect storm. It came dressed in Goodyear rubber and wore the name William Byron, the trigger for a caution that nuked the race's natural flow. Byron cut a tire, slammed the wall, and just like that, the script was flipped. Hamlin made the call for 4 fresh tires. Safe, right? Except 3 cars stayed out. Others took 2 tires. Track position? Gone. And with it, everything. When I lined up, row 5, I thought, it will be difficult for sure, Hamlin said. Difficult? No. It was impossible. He crossed the line 6th. No trophy, no redemption, just silence. I really don't have much for emotion right now. Just numb about it just in shock. That's about it, he said post-race, sitting in disbelief. And while Hamlin stood frozen in heartbreak, Kyle Larson stood grinning in disbelief. A champion who led 0 laps. Yes, 0. Let that sink in. We didn't lead a lap, Larson laughed. Somehow won the championship. He didn't have the best car. He didn't even have a good car. He had a blown tire, lost a lap, got saved by a caution, and took a massive gamble on a 2-tire strategy. Somehow, it all worked. It had a lot more grip than I anticipated. We got lucky with the final caution, Larson admitted. Lucky. There's that word again. So here we are, staring at one of the most bizarre, controversial endings in NASCAR Cup history. The best driver didn't win. The most dominant car didn't matter. And for the second time in his career, Denny Hamlin walks away the runner-up. Again. We're 40 seconds from a championship, he said, voice cracking. You work so hard. This sport can drive you absolutely crazy because sometimes speed, talent, all that stuff just does not matter. But let's not pretend this was just a racing mishap. No. This was the match that lit a powder keg. See, behind this chaos is a bigger story. Hamlin's team, 23-1 Racing, is in the middle of a lawsuit with NASCAR over the 2025 charter agreement. That's not a small issue. That's war. Now imagine the same driver leading the race, emotionally maxed out, dominating from the front, and then losing the title to a rival who didn't lead a single lap, and does it while your team is actively battling the sport's governing body in court. Yeah, this ain't over. And here's where it gets wild. Even William Byron, yes, the guy who triggered the caution that changed it all, apologized to Hamlin. Let that sink in. Byron hit the wall with a blown tire, not even his fault. Yet still, he apologized to the man who had everything stolen. And Hamlin? He could only smile, barely. In this moment, I never want to race a car ever again, he said, half joking. But even the laughter couldn't hide the pain. His fun meter? Pegged. What we witnessed wasn't just a heartbreaking loss. It was a gut punch to the core of NASCAR's system. Because if this is how championships are decided, on luck, cautions, and gambling on tires, then the question becomes, what's the point of racing at all? And while Hamlin sat in silence, Larson celebrated with a bracelet his kid made. He didn't do anything wrong. He played the game the way it's built. But maybe that's the problem. Because the game? It's broken. And some drivers aren't staying quiet anymore. While Kyle Larson kissed the trophy and posed for the cameras, the NASCAR garage fumed. Fans, drivers, and insiders, they weren't celebrating. They were questioning. How did a guy with an average car at best, as Larson himself admitted, become champion? While the fastest driver, with the best stats and the best story, lost everything? Let me explain. This wasn't just a race. This was a chess match thrown into a hurricane. And the players? They're starting to call out the storm. Even Ryan Blaney, who won the actual Phoenix race, had to pull off a move worthy of a Hollywood script, passing Brad Keselowski in the final corner to seal the win, despite being eliminated from title contention weeks earlier. Another driver with nothing to lose, winning it all, while the championship 4 scrapped behind him in survival mode. But don't miss the irony. In this current NASCAR format, the race winner wasn't the champion. The best car wasn't the champion. The guy who finished third, he gets the crown. Fans were already on edge with the playoff system. But this race just shattered the illusion. And Denny Hamlin's pain became a symbol, a reminder of everything wrong with this system. You work so hard, speed, talent, all that stuff just does not matter, Hamlin said. Those words aren't just heartbreak, they're an indictment. And they're not falling on deaf ears. Back in the garage, murmurs are turning into shouts. NASCAR's charter fight with teams like 23 The Wild is intensifying. And when one of the sport's biggest stars, who's suing the league, loses a race this way in that kind of final under these rules, it doesn't feel like a coincidence. It feels like fuel on the fire. Meanwhile, the tires kept exploding. The cautions kept flying. Shane Van Gisbergen spun. Chase Briscoe shredded rubber. AJ Allmendinger nailed the wall in his backup car after blowing another tire. It wasn't just bad luck. It felt like a pattern. A pattern nobody in NASCAR seems ready to admit. There's a phrase being whispered behind closed doors. Manufactured drama. Too many yellows. Too many tire failures. Too much randomness. It keeps the race unpredictable. And the outcomes controversial. And controversy? It sells. But at what cost? Stage after stage, Hamlin held on, even as he radioed in that something might be wrong with the car's clutch. He didn't blink. He didn't falter. He outdrove them all. Even when chaos struck, even when the cautions flew like confetti, he kept finding the front. Until the final pit call. 4 tires. The smart choice. The safe choice. The losing choice. Larson took 2. A few others stayed out. Hamlin restarted 10th. Game over. Because by the time the green flag waved, Hamlin wasn't just racing the field. He was racing a broken system. One that rewards the gamble more than the grind. One that lets a champion walk away without leading a lap, and lets a legend walk away empty-handed again. Even Byron, who had led parts of the race and looked like a true threat, got shuffled back after his tire gave way. Nothing I can do different, Hamlin sighed. And really, he couldn't. He did everything right, and still lost. So where does NASCAR go from here? How does it explain to its fans that a season's worth of excellence, 208 laps led, the pole, a personal story bigger than racing, can be erased by a last-minute caution and a tire call? How does it justify a championship where the guy who never sniffed the lead wins the whole thing? How long before the drivers stop playing along? Because this wasn't just a bad beat for Hamlin. This was a warning shot, a sign that something deeper is broken. And if NASCAR doesn't listen now, if it keeps pretending this chaos is just part of the show, the drivers will make sure the world hears it, loud and clear. So here's the question. Was this a fluke? Or is NASCAR's playoff system setting the stage for more of these miracle endings, and more heartbreaks for the sport's biggest stars? Let us know what you think in the comments. Is this racing? Or is this just roulette with sheet metal?